Hi everyone. I want to talk about the moon versus Venus. Now, why I decided to pair these two together. In terms of the moon and Venus, I also kept seeing conflated definitions of the two. Moon is how you show love or how you show you care. Venus is how you show love or how you relate to others. I felt like all of these meanings could be conflated and it might be hard to separate the distinctive qualities of the two. Let's look at the moon versus Venus. The main characteristics that I have found with the moon is that it represents your instinct and emotional needs. It is how you show you care and how you like to be cared for. Since we associate moon with Cancer, Cancer is the sign of the mother, the the what how the mother nurtures for you in the home, right? I see this as in today's world, we refer to this as our love language. So, for example, if you had the moon in Aquarius, and we know Aquarius is a very information based sign, you when someone is going through a hard time, you tend to give information on whatever we are talking about, right, to show your concern. And similarly, when you're going through something, you would appreciate information as well, rather than just a hug, right? So that's why I say that the moon can represent your love language. It's how you like to show that you care and how you like to be cared for. Whereas Venus um, shows what you value and desire. I like to think of this as think of the animal kingdom and how the peacock finds its mate, right? He fans his train, and that's how he impresses his potential mate, right? So I like to think that your Venus shows what would impress you when the peacock fans his train. So when a peacock fans his train, it depending on what's there on its feathers on its train, whether it's information, then your Venus is in Aquarius, or maybe it's freedom, then your Venus is in Sagittarius, right? That is what would impress you, what you value, what you desire, how basically people catch your attention and attract you. I would also say Venus also indicates what you could get possessive of. So when we look at Aries, think of Aries as that initial spark of fire, right? If you have your moon in Aries, you may show your loved ones you care with immediate action, right? You don't wait to be asked for help. The downside of this is you may risk coming across as rash if you don't clarify the actual needs of your loved ones. Now, if you have your Venus in Aries, however, you're drawn to confidence and bravery. What excites you about maybe a potential partner, what draws you in, what attracts you is a person who's confident and brave. You also highly value your independence, and you will not stay in a situation where your independence is compromised. So, when you have your moon in Taurus, your instinct to care for and protect your loved ones is by providing that comfort and the safety. Whatever Taurus strives for, that beautiful garden where you're comfortable and you're safe. That is what you instinctually resort to. Your end goal is to create a beautiful and comfortable environment that lasts long. Remember, Taurus is a fixed sign. You look for something that is sustainable and long lasting. When your Venus is in Taurus, you seek to surround yourself with all things comfortable and beautiful. This is also what draws you in, what can capture your attention and attract you. However, there is a downside to Venus being in Taurus. Once you achieve these things, or once you know you can achieve them, it can lead you to becoming a little too materialistic, vain, or even lazy. When you have your moon in Gemini, your instinct is also always to see things from another point of view. As we saw earlier, Gemini is a sign of the twins. You're always motivated by seeing all points of view, seeing the other side of the coin. The downside of this is people may perceive you as being two-faced. Again, the natural instinct of people is to, when you talk to a certain person, you're meant to take only their side and their side alone. So when you start looking at the other side of the coin, well, think of it in the other person's point of view. People may perceive you as not being completely on their side. When you have your Venus in Gemini, the way to get your attention or to attract you is by engaging in vibrant and interesting conversation. You're drawn to personalities that are capable of engaging you in this. If you have your moon in Cancer, this is all the natural characteristics of Cancer. Your instinct is to be within your domestic fortress and cater to emotional needs by providing nourishment within that fortress. When you have your Venus in Cancer, you are attracted to those who can provide you emotional security. You are naturally attracted to those with a nurturing quality. So when you have your moon in Leo, Leos enjoy being in the spotlight. When you have your moon in Leo, your instinct when you see your loved ones going through something, maybe something hard, your instinct is to often to hype them up with words of encouragement, just as how the sun illuminates and basically shines a light on you. That is what you instinctually resort to, with maybe words of encouragement to show them that you can. When you have your Venus in Leo, the way to your heart is to make you feel like you're the center of the universe. You treasure being the life of the party. Now, when you have your moon in Virgo, you instinctually resort to getting to the root of issues, to fix them when it comes to caring for your loved ones. Some may see it as unhelpful when they just need a shoulder to cry on. When you have Venus in Virgo, on the other hand, what you value, what you are drawn to and attracted to is acts of service and humility. You also highly appreciate attention to detail. When you have your moon in Libra, your instinct is to be the peacemaker. Your focus is always to maintain harmony and balance around yourself and everyone around you. When you have your Venus in Libra, on the other hand, what you are attracted to is perhaps symmetry in art. You also highly value justice and fairness. Right. When you have your moon in Scorpio, Scorpio is the opposite of Taurus, so the moon is fallen over here. Um, you have a hard exterior to protect yourself from getting hurt. You will sting anyone who has not earned or lost, who has not earned the right or has lost the right to your inner circle of trust. The same protection extends to your loved ones. So, in other words, when you have your moon in Scorpio, you also tend to wallow in whatever hurt that you have come across. When you have your Venus in Scorpio, on the other hand, you're drawn to intensity and passion. But as passionate as you are, you tend to get too emotionally attached, leading you to become possessive. When you have your moon in Sagittarius, think of Sagittarius being always striving for freedom. When you have your moon in Sagittarius, you don't believe in coddling to make you and your loved ones feel safe. You nurture by providing freedom. Sagittarius is also the sign of knowledge. You believe knowledge is the key to protection and self-preservation. When you have your Venus in Sagittarius, on the other hand, you are drawn to people and experiences that lead you to exploration and adventure. Freedom is what you value and what you are willing to fight for, if threatened. When you have your moon in Capricorn, the moon is in detriment in Capricorn, you show you care by taking responsibility of what needs to be done. The downside of this is because Capricorn is so self-sufficient and self-reliant, you tend to take on everything yourself and not ask for help, and that could lead to your downfall. When you have your Venus in Capricorn, on the other hand, what you value most is hard work. This is what you're attracted to, what you're drawn to, and anyone who can provide you with solid structures. You highly appreciate a good plan put in place to achieve goals. When you have your moon in Aquarius, you tend to show you care through information. Affection doesn't come naturally to you, but you think the best way to nurture is to gather or provide information. When you have your Venus in Aquarius, what you value and desire most is intelligence and rationality. You are also attracted to those who constantly question the status quo. Finally, when you have your moon in Pisces, your instinct is to take on too much. And this may result you in becoming oversensitive when it comes to caring for your loved ones. If you have your Venus in Pisces, you can be a hopeless romantic. Venus is what you are drawn to. Pisces is the dreamer. You're probably attracted to grand gestures of love. The downside of this is sometimes it can get unrealistic and can lead to false hopes and disappointments. That was my that was my take on Moon versus Venus. Feel free to drop a comment down below on any other similarities or differences that you have noticed that I may not have mentioned. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, and head on over to my IG or TikTok and follow me there as well.